welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing the Red Dwarf miniature, just rebuilding a few things. You can see a few of the new pipes that I've been adding to it. I'm checking the references, which are hazy at best. There's a few panels to go on the side here which were really tricky to replicate. Now these things, I'm believing, came out of some kind of electrical component, and they've got little grooves on the side for stacking them into places, and I think that's what they were. So some of them are broken. This is an original one. You can see the moulding is really complex, all sorts of different things and shapes on them, but you'd never find these again. Nobody knows where they came from. So I've had to replicate them with a laser cutter, which has been quite tricky. The original ones that were broken like this have got all the incredible mouldings on the side and little clips that clip them in and out of different things and little tangs on them. So what I've had to do is to take that into CAD. This is one that I've made from laser cut sheets to try to replicate the look of the original. So it's not a bad facsimile. Obviously some of the detailing isn't quite as sharp because this is injection molded and this is made from pieces of card, but overall I think it looks okay. So they can now go back onto the model in the correct place. Also replicated this one, which is a real pain in the butt, as you can tell. So I've got a few of those now. So I spent a while working out how to do this with the laser cutter to build something that looks okay. This is one of my copies actually. The original one is now back on the model. I'm thinking there's quite a large square unit to come out of the end of the model across the top and back down, like a big foot if you like, sticking out. Other areas of damage, MDF, been whacked and chipped and flaked off. This has now been reinforced with super glue. It's a little less flaky than it was and it will take filler okay. Telltales. 2 circular glue marks on the base. That means there's 2 pipes there, 2 more. So there's been 2 pipes there. They come up over this section and go straight back down in there. A large black area, which is lozenge shaped. This is the best reference shot I've got of this area, and we can see the top of that lozenge behind the pipes. So I measured the width of that, looked in the EMA catalogue, because that's what all these parts and these corners come from, and found that it matched this tube perfectly. And I'm believing there's another 2 in there. So I'm thinking 3 cylinders sticking out with round caps on the end to add detail there. I'm believing that cylinder to be about this kind of length, judging from the references. So I think I need 3 of those, but it's obvious from the base colour that they weren't actually cylinders when they contacted that piece, so they had a base plate. It's like being an archaeologist, this, trying to work out what shapes fit where. Like, the hell is this piece? But what the hell is that? I still don't know where they go. I've just really kind of got to match up shadows and edges on these shapes to see where they possibly fit in that melee of material at the back there. If I drop down from that edge, I see an end of a tube or something there, and I can see from the witness mark on the paint job at the back there that it used to be something that was tight up against that before it was painted yellow. Now in my bag of bits, there's this piece. It's got a particularly broken edge, and the rest of it is yellow. 2 sides are unpainted with a bit of thing, and then there's a line here, because when it bottoms out, that little edge line for the yellow is in the right level for that. But it looks like it's broken at the top because it has stuck out a little. So I think that little section there, the square piece, is the same as that little section there sticking out. A couple of the panels on the Red Dwarf prop are like this, and they're missing. So I've got the bottom section fits into there, the top section fits into there. Obviously there's a frame around the edge. If if I don't break it. Here out of 5mm, which should make the step on the edge. Working on the bottom of this prop, we've got these pipes that come in. There's a square plate on the bottom, well, rectangular. It's already on these, so that's original, this plate. And I can see that the glue marks match up to a panel that I've already made, which is this one. Now I can see that that pretty much matches what's going on just at the bottom here. There's a couple of pieces on the front here that are not on that panel. And I found those on another part of the model, which is this bit. I was hoping not to have to remodel one of these in CAD, but that's the next job. It shares a few similarities with another panel that I've already done. So hopefully, with a little bit of tweaking, I can take out the crisscrosses and extend that panel to build that. See the deal? A few little things that are different at the bottom here, but it's pretty much that panel. So I've got to remake at least 2 of these to do the detail at the bottom there. The glue marks, the witness marks on the bottom of that are perfectly spaced for these, but there's a piece on the front of this which is definitely the bottom of this section has been cut along that line there. This bottom section is then free with the edge to match up against that one and drop into position to supply us with that. I'm hoping that distance matches what I need on this. It's a tricky one, lots of weird shapes at the bottom that I'm obviously going to have to fill and sand, but yeah, what you do is you get this, you measure it up and you transpose that into CAD. You then get a file for all the parts that you need to construct this thing. This is the front of a Renault 1/24th kit. These 2 pieces here are from the same model. It took me a while to ID these because they're all a bit weird and they look a little bit like construction parts for an electrical outlet or something like that, so it threw me a little bit. But when you flip it over, I could see there was some kind of footwell thing going on there and a gear lever mould. So this is the floor for the front of the cab. This warp panel fits onto the edge of this opening here, and I'm presuming has been hit by heat during the explosions and the pyros and what have you. So I need to replicate that. I was looking at etching it, but now I've found the real donor, I don't need to worry about that. It's the assembly that fits just into this opening here and finishes off that section, and then there's a whole gantry built off the front of this, which is going to be really tricky. Bit more super sleuthing around here. You can see this panel that's in the original place, and down this edge just here you can see glue marks all the way down to the bottom. So that fits hard up against that edge there, and those glue marks witness that. It's not actually settled on the base, there's a small gap there and there's something stuck underneath it, you can see. So I think the top edges were level to give the end of the gantry, which is there. These two parts here, really blurred, hard to make out. If we scan to a closer version of the other one, this is the best I've got, it's just a little snippet of it. You can see this thing here, that is this part. I don't know if you can see that, but the bottom of this here is this section, and the detail at the back and the top matches up perfectly, so I know that the power loader is part of this. Now if we come back to the reference, I can see that these tubes holding these arms are the same diameter as the tube that's running up and down, so I know that's this EMA tubing. There looks to be like a flexible joint in here up near where it roots in, and I'm presuming another one because they're pointing in different directions than the actual piece you can see supporting it behind. So there's two joints at least in that arm. I can see that the front of this power loader arm sits way proud of the front of this and this, which means it sits in this position here. And if I pull out, it's quite a distance from where it roots to, which is a platform that doesn't exist yet, just here. And what I've done is I've cut a piece of new tube, a piece of old one on there, and put some rubber grommets on a flexible braided pipe off an old light. When you get them at the right angle, has the right sort of look to it that you get on the reference. So I'm kind of happy to go with that. And that sits on the model. There's a glue line just down this edge here of a base that these run out from the bottom of, and that sits it in pretty much the right kind of position and length to match the reference. So there you go, there's another bit. I am now building the box for the bottom. Based on the spray lines at the back, it shows me how wide this original box was. The height has been taken off this bottom of this door panel, which is solid, never been removed. So that's good to go. The length, questionable, but there is a view on the series. Looking through this gap here, I can see a supporting edge just about there. So that is where I've set the corner of the box with regards to the reference. So that bit fits on there. Then there's a fence on the front of that, which I believe is the top half of this panel that used to protrude up there, which I put 2023 on, just as a reminder for when it was actually refurbed. So this, I'm figuring, fits on the front of that section there. It's hard to say because the bottom foot of this is submerged underneath, under the ground in the prop. It's like another level down. So I'm pretty much making up some of this, but I'm trying to work using the sizes of all these remade panels to find areas that look like they've been designed to fit a particular width, if you see what I'm saying. Right, well, we're getting there. We've got the pods on the side. We've got all the other sections fairly done. Got to do the final repair here. We've got the two grabber arms here. I've just got to work out the assembly to fit at the back. There's something missing under here, and I believe that is a winch after I'd looked at all the references and checked out the series a few times. And the best shot of that is when the cat's dancing around with the blue spaceship in the loading bay, and it shows you this view. There's something round here. I was trying for ages to work out what it was. I checked through the model kit for all the various different pieces and nothing seemed to match. So I binned that idea, and then I went for a scratch build. So I've made, based on this black area at the back here that's unpainted because something's fallen off, I have made this little winch setup. Just something that I built up from scratch. That rear plate, the black section there, fits onto that black section there, and because I've followed the original glue lines in the model, these surfaces are taking on a little bit of a curve. This one actually isn't square, but it follows the glue lines, so I've got to try and square that up. You see it's a little bit tapered off to the left there. So when this goes in to this section, I've got these two supports on the top there that will actually square that up and make it more parallel to this top section, which I've done. There's a 2023 engraved on the side there, just so people know when it was refurbished. And yeah, so far we are getting there. It's a fairly comprehensive rebuild, this. Loads of these perforated panels to make, loads of these other panels. I have to make one more of those that fits down at the bottom here. So that square section at the back there that you can see paint missing from, that is one of these panels, and this panel is the same as this panel, but this one is complete. So you can see that used to live on there, the end's broken off. This one actually is a new one off a model kit. This is the one that used to live down there, that's back up here now. And this one will get replaced with a new one of these when the next model kit comes for the parts. I can see that this area here is correct. Not sure about the lower area. These two pipes on the back are hard to see, but I'm pretty sure they're correct. And this piece here is just something I've put in to add a bit of detail, as well as the other fan off the radiator on the truck, which appears all over this one. There's one here, there's another two in the back there. Next section to do is this box that's featured on the front of this assembly here. We've got the pipes on the left here, pipes on the right coming down. I've had to cast new little connectors to match these old ones on here. So the box assembly on this side here, I've fabricated to try and match the details, get it to about the right kind of scale, and everything's good. I got a measurement from the width of this platform at the top here, which is made from this donor part from the Renault Magnum model. It's got the gap at the front because of the elevated pins underneath it, which matches what's on the reference. There's two vertical bits, I don't know what they are yet, so I might have to make those. Underneath this platform are two pistons that come out, you can see on this side here, and attached to the end of this platform, which looks like it's got another piston inside and a handrail on the end. So I've had to make the part that fits underneath this, which is the top layer of that. Okay, so we've got something that works on there. The weird thing is the attachment on this, it sort of hangs in free space, which is a bit weird. I've got that measurement right, and it looks to be okay. Yeah. think these are the air intakes from the truck. They're very, very hard to see on the reference, but I can definitely see 3 separate pieces at the top edge, so I think they're pretty good. This little thing at the front looks the part. So now I'm going to flip it onto its back and start adding the weathering around these areas to match these original ones with all the dark black blobs of wash. So what are we looking at replicating here? Okay, we can see on this part, this is original, this is the paint that was on the prop when it was used on Red Dwarf. This pigment looks to be pretty much black. It's got a very slight overspray of grey on there, can you see that? But I think the wash underneath is a pure matte black, just very thin. But this wash here, you can see has an element of red to it. So there's definitely brown in that wash, and you can see how it's gathered at the edge of that spread there. So the first one I'm going to do is the brown one, and then I'm going to go for the black. So there you go. Hopefully it's a sympathetic refurbishment and you can't tell the bits I made and the bits that were original. Paint job's just messy like the original, trying to obviously keep that with the same kind of feel from left to right, so nothing really jumps out. Yeah, any more would be too much, and I don't want to put my personal stamp on it by building detail that wasn't there, that I haven't got reference for. So I've left a couple of areas. There's one in here, there's something in here, no idea what it was. And there's also something a little bit further up which has been left off purposefully because, again, I don't want to put my style on it. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching these things. Trying to replicate other artists' work is always intriguing to me. I find it interesting to see how they did things back in the day and how things have changed with painting and modelling and things through the ages. So This is of an age and it's of a style and it's for a purpose in the background. There was never any hyper detailing on this, it's a background prop. So here it is, all completed. Hopefully I've got the weathering to match the original nicely, so nothing sticks out as if it's brand new. Everything should look 35 years old or whatever it is. So it is what it is. Thanks again. Cheers, guys.